I walk into the glass-walled conference room already knowing my role in their eyes. I'm the quiet one, the one they assume is decorative, optional, easy to ignore. The walls are transparent, but the moment I step inside, I feel invisible. The negotiation table is already full. Leather chairs pulled in tight, laptops open, coffee cups steaming. No one stands, no one pauses. My arrival doesn't interrupt a single breath. Mark Caldwell is at the head of the table, polished smile, tailored suit, confidence spilling out of him. He leans forward, shaking hands down the line. Firm grips, eye contact, easy laughs. When he reaches my seat, his hand skips right past me, landing on the person beside me as if I'm empty space. I sit down slowly. My nameplate is there, but it's crooked, pushed slightly off-center, one corner hanging over the edge like it might fall at any second. It feels intentional, like a quiet message. You don't belong in alignment with us. I open my folder when it's my turn to speak. I've rehearsed these numbers 100 times. I know them cold. I start calmly, clearly, explaining projections, risk buffers, long-term value. Halfway through my first sentence, Mark starts talking. Not to me, over me. He doesn't even look in my direction. We'll circle back to structure, he says, waving a hand vaguely, already moving on. A junior associate 2 seats down unlocks his phone. The screen lights up. He smirks at something, tilts it slightly, and the person next to him chuckles. Then another laugh joins in, not loud, not cruel enough to be called out, just enough to sting. Someone says casually, "She's just family, not really decision-making." The words hit me harder than if he'd raised his voice. Just family, as if blood disqualifies intelligence, as if proximity replaces competence. The room doesn't correct him. No one even glances at me. Heat floods my face. My numbers sit untouched in front of them, pages pristine, unacknowledged. Data I spent nights refining might as well be blank paper. I can feel my pulse in my ears, steady but loud, like a warning I force myself not to show. I look at my niece. She meets my eyes for half a second, then looks away. Her jaw tightens. She's embarrassed, torn, unsure whether to defend me or protect the deal. I don't blame her. I recognize that hesitation. I've lived in it. The conversation rolls forward without me. Valuations, timelines, concessions. They discuss my stake as if it's already theirs. Decisions are made that require my approval, and no one asks for it. It's like watching people rearrange furniture in a house they don't own.
That's when it settles in, not as anger, as clarity. They decided I was irrelevant before I ever opened my mouth. I stop trying to speak. I sit back. I let the silence swallow me. It presses down on my chest, heavier than any insult they could have thrown. Heavier because it's shared, agreed upon, maintained by everyone in the room. And in that silence, while they talk past me and around me, I understand something very clearly. They don't know who they're ignoring. I remember the first time I was underestimated, back in my 20s, at my first corporate job. I still see that conference room too. Different building, same faces. I had walked in eager, prepared, believing competence would speak for itself. I didn't know then how quiet dismissal sounds. When I raised concerns about a contract risk I had documented line by line, my manager smiled thinly and said, "You're getting too emotional." Too emotional. Not wrong, not inaccurate. Emotional. The word wrapped around my throat like a polite noose. The meeting moved on, and my warning was ignored. Months later, the exact issue I flagged exploded into a financial mess. A man 2 desks over presented my solution as his own. He was praised for his foresight. I was thanked for supporting the team. I stayed late night after night, fluorescent lights buzzing above my head, finishing work that would never carry my name. I watched men climb using ladders I had quietly built beneath them. Over time, I learned the pattern: speak softly, work harder, don't react. So when I finally left that world, I didn't do it loudly. I didn't burn bridges. I walked away and built something of my own, slowly, deliberately, a quiet empire in finance and contracts where numbers mattered more than volume. My family never saw the hours, only the results. Businesses stabilized, debts vanished, deals closed cleanly. I became the invisible backbone of everything they touched. They came to me in private, nervous, asking questions they didn't want others to hear. I advised from the shadows while they stood in the light, smiling for photos, giving interviews. I taught myself survival through restraint. Stay calm, observe everything, speak last. Strategy became my armor. Silence became my shield. Then there was my marriage, a man who loved my ambition until it eclipsed his own. My intelligence became a threat instead of a partnership. Arguments always ended the same way, with him needing to win and me being told to soften, shrink, accommodate. When I signed the divorce papers, my hand didn't shake. I promised myself I would never beg for respect again. Not from a man, not from a room, not from anyone. Years later, when my niece came to me with an idea and nothing else, I didn't hesitate. I believed in her. I invested my savings. I structured her contracts. I protected her from mistakes she didn't even know existed yet. I chose to stay unnamed on paper, stepping back so she could stand tall without feeling overshadowed. I told myself it didn't matter, that being unseen was a choice now, not a sentence. But somewhere deep inside, the old wound stayed open. The familiar ache of only being noticed when I was needed, only valued when my silence was convenient. Sitting in that conference room, watching history repeat itself, I felt that wound pulse again, reminding me that being ignored stops being noble the moment it's mistaken for weakness. The negotiation keeps moving, faster now, numbers flying across the table like confetti. Valuations are tossed out with confidence, projections stacked on top of assumptions I know are dangerously flawed. I see gaps where others see certainty. I see traps disguised as optimism. Mark leans forward, energized. He starts pushing aggressive terms, framing them as standard, reasonable, inevitable. Each one quietly strips away our leverage, piece by piece, dressed up as efficiency. His voice fills the room, smooth and commanding, as if the outcome is already sealed. I interject again. My voice is calm, controlled. That timeline exposes, Mark doesn't let me finish. He lifts a hand without looking at me, like he's silencing background noise. We're aligned on that, he says, already moving on. The message is clear. Stop talking. An executive down the table chuckles and says, maybe leave this to the professionals. The words land lightly, but they cut deep. A few smiles follow. Not malicious, worse, casual. I feel that familiar tightening in my chest, the instinct to retreat, to let it pass, to stay quiet, and survive. As the conversation shifts, my eyes catch something they've all skipped over. A clause buried deep in the contract. Subtle, technical, dangerous for them, protective for us. A clause that doesn't just reference my role, it anchors it, ties final authority directly to me. My niece leans toward me, her voice barely audible. Maybe we should accept, she whispers, before the deal collapses. I look at her and see fear, not doubt. Fear of losing momentum. Fear of disappointing everyone at the table. Fear I recognize because it once lived in me. Inside, the old instinct surges. Stay silent, don't make waves, let it go. It's easier that way. But something shifts. Resolve presses back harder, heavier, sharper. Across the table, the opposing legal team exchanges glances. One of them smirks, already picturing a signed agreement. They think this is over. They think victory is guaranteed. I lower my eyes and review the contract one more time. Slowly, deliberately. My finger traces the language line by line, pausing at the clause they ignored. The power they overlooked hums beneath my skin, steady and undeniable. And the room buzzes with premature celebration. Chairs relax, voices soften. Someone jokes about dinner reservations. They're already moving on in their minds. That's when I realized the truth. They didn't just underestimate me. They underestimated the entire structure I control. Mark turns toward us, pen in hand. "So," he says smoothly, "can we get final verbal confirmation?" The room quiets, all eyes shift forward. The pressure settles heavy in the air, waiting for my silence to seal their win. My phone vibrates against the table, sharp and sudden. The name on the screen stops my breath for half a second. Sarah Whitman, our external counsel, the only person in this room who knows exactly how this deal is built. I excuse myself without waiting for permission and step outside. Behind me, the conversation resumes immediately, like I was never there. The door clicks shut, sealing their assumption that I don't matter. Sarah doesn't waste time. "I reviewed the final draft," she says, her voice precise. "You were right. Without your signature, the agreement can't be executed. You're the keystone. Everything collapses without you." The last trace of doubt drains out of me. The humiliation that sat heavy in my chest moments ago dissolves into something colder, clearer. I thank her, end the call, and take one steady breath before walking back in. When I return to the table, my pulse is calm, not racing, not shaking. What I felt before wasn't weakness. It was awareness forming. I don't raise my voice. I don't ask for attention. I simply ask one question. "Before we go any further," I say, "can someone explain how you plan to execute this without my authorization?" The room freezes. Laptops pause mid-typing. Pens hover. Even the air seems to stop moving. Mark finally looks directly at me. For the first time since I walked in, irritation flashes across his face, then something else. Confusion. He blinks, recalculating. "What are you talking about?" he snaps. I meet his eyes and hold them. Without my approval, the deal is legally void. Chairs shift. Someone clears their throat. The energy in the room changes instantly, like a sudden drop in temperature. I feel my niece's gaze on me. When I look back, her expression has changed. The embarrassment is gone. In its place is recognition. Mark leans forward, his confidence cracking at the edges. "You need to clarify that, now." So I do, calmly, precisely. I explain my role, my authority, and the terms that place final control exactly where it belongs. I don't embellish. I don't defend myself. I state facts. The laughter from earlier doesn't return. Silence takes its place. I slide my revised terms across the table without raising my voice. The paper moves smoothly, deliberate, undeniable. I don't explain myself yet. I let the document speak first. The new conditions are precise. They protect our assets down to the smallest detail, and in doing so, they expose how far Mark tried to overreach. Hidden penalties, asymmetric risk, clauses designed to benefit only one side. Everything is visible now. Mark scoffs out of reflex, a sharp sound meant to dismiss me. Then he starts reading. His expression changes. The scoff dies halfway. His jaw tightens as he realizes what he's holding. He has no leverage. Across the table, their legal team stiffens. Pages flip quickly. Pens scratch. Low whispers break out, urgent and tense. The confidence they walked in with evaporates into calculation. I speak again, my tone even, controlled. I don't repeat their insults. I don't call them out by name. I frame respect as a requirement, not an emotion. These terms assume professional engagement, I say, mutual recognition of authority, clear lines of decision-making. I let that land. Negotiations proceed, I continue, only if I am treated as the lead authority on our side. Mark exhales slowly. When he speaks again, his voice is different, softer, polite in a way that feels practiced and forced. The arrogance is gone, replaced by restraint. "Of course," he says, "we want alignment." I look directly at him and shake my head. "This concession," I say, tapping one line on the page, "is not happening." The room goes quiet again. That single point is the one they need most, the one holding their timeline together. The deal stalls instantly. Momentum dies. Pressure shifts hard and fast, away from us, onto them. I can feel it in the way they sit up straighter, in the way Mark's fingers drum against the table despite his effort to stay composed. I watch them calculate. Not numbers this time, but consequences. The cost of ignoring me, the headlines, the delays, the loss they can't explain away. Thus, someone finally says my name, out loud, with intent. Public acknowledgement becomes unavoidable now, spoken into the room they once pretended I didn't exist in. I close my folder. Then I stand. Wink. The movement is subtle, but it changes everything. Chairs scrape as others react too late. I don't wait for closing remarks or false courtesies. I nod once, professional, final. I'll wait for your revised response, I say. And I walk out, controlling the end the same way I reclaimed the room. The deal collapses on their side within days. Reports circulate quietly at first, then spread through the industry like wildfire. Analysts call it a strategic failure. Mark Caldwell's name is front and center, his leadership questioned in headlines and whispered conversations. I watch it all unfold from the sidelines, invisible but completely in control. A few days later, my niece finds me. Her voice shakes as she whispers, "I'm sorry. I should have stood up sooner." Her eyes glisten with gratitude, but also with relief, like a weight has finally lifted. I hold her gaze and nod once, letting her know everything is forgiven. Everything is ours now. We renegotiate with a different firm. This time, the terms are ours. Clear, protective, fair. Every clause crafted with precision. Every risk accounted for. The deal closes cleanly. No compromises, no surprises. My niece stands taller, more confident, knowing the foundation beneath her is unshakable. I finally step into a visible executive role, officially recognized. It's not flashy, not about proving a point. It's acknowledgement of years of quiet labor, of patience and strategy. I walk the halls differently now, grounded, secure in the authority I've earned. My confidence feels solid, calm, not loud, not vengeful. Then a notification lights up my phone, an email from Mark. He wants to reopen talks. The words are carefully chosen, polite, cautious. I read them once, then delete. I don't respond. The moment has passed. His leverage is gone. Well, peace replaces the old ache of being unseen. That hollow gnawing feeling that once shadowed every room I entered is gone. I realize something fundamental. Silence is only power when chosen. When wielded deliberately, it becomes respect, strategy, and protection all at once. I look around my office. The deal's closed, the team thriving. Respect feels different now. Earned, enforced, undeniable. No one ignores me anymore. No one assumes invisibility is optional. It isn't given, it's claimed, and I claimed it quietly, decisively, finally. I sit quietly now, reflecting on everything that brought me here. Being ignored, dismissed, overlooked, it taught me to watch, to notice the small movements, the unspoken assumptions, the cracks in confidence that others fail to see. Observation became my weapon, my shield, my guide. I won't pretend it didn't hurt. The sting of quiet humiliation lingers. The moments where laughter slid over me, where decisions were made as if I weren't in the room, they left marks. But I've learned to honor that pain, to let it sharpen me instead of break me. To anyone who has ever been overlooked at the table, who has felt invisible while others take credit for your labor, your insight, your presence, listen closely. Power doesn't need permission to exist. It doesn't need recognition to be real. It is yours to claim, even when no one is watching. Preparation is more powerful than confrontation. Strategy outweighs impulse. Understanding the terrain, the people, the rules, these are your weapons. Revenge is not about hurting others, it is about reclaiming control over your story, over your place, over what is rightfully yours. So, walking away with dignity is the ultimate victory. It proves that your value was never dependent on their recognition. It proves that you are stronger, steadier, and smarter than the ones who tried to silence you. I invite you to reflect on your own moments of being underestimated. Think about the times you were ignored and consider what you could do differently, not recklessly, not impulsively, but deliberately, quietly, with purpose. Recognize where your power truly lies. It might be silent, it might be invisible, but it is there, waiting for you to wield it. And remember this, never underestimate the quiet one, the one who observes, waits, and strikes with precision, the one who turns humiliation into strategy and invisibility into authority. That quiet one, she holds the room, she holds the power, and she will be seen.